What up? So today I'm going to show you guys how to embroider this little flower guy on some tulle. Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. So I just got a piece of paper, and I threw some dried flowers down. I actually really liked how they looked when I threw them down, so that's what we're gonna do. So I taped them into place, right where they are, flip the paper over, and to trace it, I'm gonna do this little DIY light table with my phone and a clear Tupperware. With the paper on top, I just traced out those flowers. Trying my best to get every little step. And it looks good. We're gonna take away our little light table, take off the tape, and I actually just took a picture of this using my phone just so I would have like a little reference. And then I used my hoop to make sure it was the size I wanted, position I wanted, and now to trace out the tool. So I put that down, put some tape down on the tool, and I'm going to be tracing with this little fine point disappearing ink pen, and just went about tracing out the stems. With that all done, I just took off the tool, and it kind of, I don't know, we'll see, super faint. So I loosen up the hoop, let the inside drop down, and now decide if I want the flowers facing that way, to the left, or to the right. I think I'm gonna do it to the right. So I flip the tool over. And here's a little trick for getting your tool or your fabric into the hoop. Tighten the hoop a little bit before putting it on, and don't push it down all the way. Now tighten the outside hoop the rest of the way, and then when you smush it down into place, it's gonna just tighten up your tool or your fabric. So I have these little references, and hopefully they'll help. I'm only using a single strand of floss. And when I started going, I realized it was just too hard to see the lines, so I threw in the needle and decided to start over. This time I took some tearaway backing and just traced the flowers right onto that backing. This way I could that's not a word. This way I for sure could see it, and then after I'm done like stitching it into place, I can just tear away the backing. So I put the tool back on, do my little trick to make sure it's nice and tight, and then just start going. And like I said, I'm just using a single strand. I split up my floss into one little line. And I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. But pretty pumped on how it looked. So with that, just like as a base where to go off of, I just ripped off all that backing. And ripped it off on the inside. It was a little more tough to get off around like the actual floss or the actual stitching, but it looked pretty good. So I used a single strand of thread to go across the entire design once again, kind of just to tighten it up and to thicken up the parts that I wanted thicker. Like I wanted like the base of the branches to be a little thicker. And to help that out, I split it again. So that's how you split it, but this time I only did two. So I did the two and went across, and I did like a stem stitch here. And I didn't like it, so I undid that and did like a running stitch, which is what I've been doing the entire time. I also tried to end where I start. That way I can just do like a little square knot at the end and then cut off my excess. I didn't really like how the two strand looked, so this time I just did a single strand again and just went across all the little branches. This took forever and thickened up where I wanted it thicker, but overall super stoked with how it looked. I wanted to do like a dual color for the next part, so I took two single strands of like the light green and kind of a creamy white and then just twisted them together. That way it'll give it this multicolored look. And so I did like kind of a satin, really sloppy satin stitch, and was sure to like, again, start and end in the same place so I could do a little square knot at the end and cut off those excess. And I was really stoked with how this looked. I did it across all the little parts where, I don't know, the fingers are. They look like little fingers on those branches. I don't know. And again, the cool part about using Tulle is you can use your back stitch to like put in the design. And so, stoked. I've never mixed thread together like that, but I was really pumped with the outcome. It added some depth to the piece. So next, I did the little leaves, and I stitched it all up just using a single strand with a little lighter floss. But I ended up not liking how it looked. I liked the unfinished look better. So that's what we're gonna do. So I just undid those stitches, gave it a little pet, and we're gonna move on to the French knot. So I decided to practice a little bit because I always tend to break it because I pull too hard on this knot. So to start this, you just pull it from the bottom of the piece. You can have a little knot there that will stop you if you want, And usually you make the knot right where you came up, but I did a couple stitches above just so you could see what I'm doing. With the string you just pulled up in your left hand, you're gonna wrap the needle around. I usually do about 5 times, and then come down, not in the same hole you just came up, but one right to the side, and pull it through, and pull it tight. So let's do that one more time. So you come up, hold that in your left hand, do a couple loop-de-loops around your needle, go down a hole that's not the same hole that you just came up, and if you hold that string in your left hand and kind of pull tight there, it's gonna help make that knot nice and tight. So cool. Let's go. For the French knot and the flower part, I'm using this like silky white embroidery floss, and I'm using all 6 strands. And I just went about making little knots. It's funny because I don't know if I've ever done a French knot, and like, I don't know, I feel like I got a lot better the more I went. First couple were kind of sloppy, but overall, thought it looked pretty cool. Pretty cool. And for the final touches, I just took some low lights, I guess, and highlights, and went across some of the branches to hopefully give it a little more depth. And I split my floss into a single strand and thought it gave it some detail. And then the last thing I did is I took a lighter green, and I think it was like 2 strands, and I just went through those French knots so it kind of looked like it was a little bud thing that holds the flower in place. To clean up all the square knots in the back, I just cut it off, add some fabric glue, and kind of pinched it together. And it made it look nice and tight in the back. Then I just cut off all the tulle around the hoop, and we're done. Really stoked on this one, how it turned out. So I think my favorite thing on this piece was actually just like the process of the whole thing. The fact that like I threw down the flowers and I really liked how it looked, and how I also had like messed up so many times. I feel like a lot of times we're scared to like even start a project because like we don't want to mess up. But I don't think the fear of messing up should get in the way of making something great. Wow, Brian, you're so f***ing deep, dude. So that, and then also the leaves. It's funny, I feel like in a lot of my like past artwork stuff, I would always leave things unfinished. I really like the look of that. And it's cool to see it translate into embroidery work, because I haven't done that before. So cool that came out. And if you guys don't know, I am trying to do like a product or something that I can sell with every video. Last video we did those hats, and I got a DM from someone being like, hey, I don't wear hats, but it'd be cool as a shirt. I'm gonna do a limited amount of some shirts. If you guys want to pick one up, I'll show you how they look at the end of this video. But right now, past Brian has something to tell you. Thanks, future me. I bet you're looking pretty cute. Yeah, I mean, I've been wearing these overalls for like 3 days in a row, so not gross at all. But we can't just sit and talk to each other. Okay, why not? Because you're here to tell us about today's sponsor, Squarespace. Yeah, you're always right. You're right, Brian. Just called you Brian. Do I call you Shmoxd? I don't know what to call you. So yeah, Squarespace is super rad. Well, I've actually used Squarespace ever since I started a website and started selling these rings. That's what's cool. Whether you're like small, just starting out, or you're big, it works. You can sell like physical products, digital products, or like even services. So like, let's say you're gonna do like a commission work where you're just like drawing a tattoo or drawing something for someone, that works. Anything you can think of to sell with your art, that's the platform that will work for you. I'm doing finger guns. I'm okay with that. They also recently did something where you can do like subscription based things, so it's like a recurring payment. So let's say you like are doing a magazine or something, a zine, and you want to send that out every month, maybe even a digital zine. Maybe that's what I'll do. And that's probably the coolest thing. Like even just right now, I thought of something that would be like fun to do, and Squarespace is gonna help me do it. It's very versatile, so that's nice. Ting. And let's say you aren't like trying to sell anything, you just want to like have a portfolio for your art. They have custom like designs for portfolios, and I get compliments all the time. I think it's so funny because I literally just like grabbed a template and just threw stuff on there, like very, very simple. It hasn't changed. Maybe I'll change it, find a new cool template, because I'm sure they have a bunch of new ones for me. Easy peasy, did it in one night. I had to find somewhere to sell rings, and I just happened upon Squarespace, and literally the next day I was selling them. So I guess the bullet points here would be super versatile in what you want to sell, whether it's digital, physical, or service, and subscription based. The templates make it super easy and super easy and good looking, so you can get it done quick and still look professional and really have something that's on brand with you. So you can actually go right now to Squarespace. For a free trial, we'll let you like set up your website how you want it. And then when you're ready to launch, you can actually get 10% off by going to this URL right here. It should be something like squarespace.com/Shmoxd. So yeah, super big thanks to Squarespace. Back to you, Future Brian. Thanks, past me. So I get asked a lot what I actually do with all the pieces that I make, and I just like collect them. They're just sitting around, so I've decided I'm gonna give this one away. And how I'm gonna do it is I'm just gonna give it away randomly to one of the shirt orders. And the shirts, they're gonna be black with like the little make stuff like it was on the hats, or the don't do it stuff, just right there on the shirt. So yeah, if you want one, I mean the hats, they sold out pretty quick. So I imagine the same thing will happen with these shirts, I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, if you want, you can go snag one at my shop, shmoxd.com/shop, and I will give away this to one of the orders. So cool. So don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed. Hit the bell notification if you haven't hit the bell notification. I am going to be doing a more complex tool tutorial in the future, like this little leopard. It's coming soon.